and welcome to this edition of Northwest Newsweek. A major step forward this week on the quest to twin Highway 17 from the Manitoba border to the city of Kenora. The provincial government and Four Winds, a partnership of 4 area First Nations, signed a memorandum of understanding on how to proceed with the project, which has been a long time coming. Adam Riley was there and filed this report.
The push to twin Highway 17 from the Manitoba border to the outskirts of Kenora overcame a major hurdle Wednesday with the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the province of Ontario and Niiwin-Wendunamuk, a partnership of 4 First Nations whose territory includes sections of the highway. Facilitator Kyler Cotton says this agreement is an understanding of a way to move forward using treaty-based knowledge and customs.
It's based on the understanding that this is a shared land, shared partnership, and that by working together in parallel, it's possible to solve mutual problems.
Transportation Minister Caroline Mulroney spent the day in several of the communities, including Wajishkaniggum First Nation, where much of the celebrations and signing took place. She says while those traveling the highway right now might not see any movement on the project, she assures work is underway.
A lot of work has gone on the ground already with local communities and the people at the office here in the north, MTO, and people have been working very, very closely together to get to this point. And then we're going to be moving to the RFP process so that we can get shovels in the ground as quickly as possible.
Grand Council Treaty 3 Ogichita Francis Kavanagh was also on hand for the ceremonies. He says many of the First Nations under his watch support the local economy, even more so now with the highway, and welcomes the signing of the MOU.
It connects us to the municipalities, the towns, the cities, and it also a huge investment. It's going to do wonders in terms of our economic development.
Area MPP and Minister for Energy, Northern Development and Mines, Greg Rickford, is also excited for this milestone, especially considered he announced this same endeavor with former Prime Minister Stephen Harper a decade ago with a sizable federal investment. However, he didn't give a dollar amount on this project, only that the province is responsible for the first 6 kilometers from the border to the highway that leads to Shoal Lake 39 First Nation.
In financial terms, initially there was $100 million committed to this, and that would have covered roughly the distance from the Manitoba border to Kenora. But what this is really about is a commitment to proceed forward. We've allocated appropriate resources for this at all stages.
Both Rickford and Kavanagh stressed the federal government needs to be on board for this project, something newly elected Kenora MP Eric Malillo plans to push for.
And I'm going to continue to work with the federal government and call on them to make the similar investments, the similar commitments that we've seen in previous governments that were unfortunately didn't come through up until this point.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
Meanwhile, Rickford continues to dodge questions about the future of the 4-laning project between Thunder Bay and Nipigon. The last section completed on that route was in 2018 near Red Rock. Since then, construction has been at a standstill, and the Ford government has not awarded any new contracts or made any announcements. Around half of the 110-kilometer route has been 4-lane since 2009, and the MTO has completed the detailed design work for most of the remaining sections. Rickford was asked about the status of the project at the announcement in Kenora.
Committed to other segments of the highway, but this is not about winning or losing for anybody. Everybody wins when the highway across Northern Ontario is twinned. We've allocated funds to start this project because this is a segment of the highway as much as any other part of Northern Ontario and widely recognized as one of the most critical areas to start the twinning.
In 2017, the Trudeau government gave the province $83 million to 4-lane 2 sections of the highway between Red Rock and Pass Lake. When asked about that money, Rickford instead brought up the $100 million committed to the Kenora 4-laning 10 years ago, which he says was spent elsewhere. Senator Lynn Beyak is denying reports she claimed to be Métis. The denial comes in a 2-line statement issued Wednesday. This follows calls for Beyak to be suspended for a second time over racist letters about Indigenous peoples she posted to her Senate website. An appendix to a report from the Senate's Ethics Committee detailed concerns from a staff at a center where Beyak was ordered to take Indigenous cultural training. Staff claimed Beyak identified herself as Métis, apparently because her parents had adopted an Indigenous child who became her sister. Members of the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario were on the picket lines this week, including here in the Northwest.
Here for the kids! Here for the kids! Here for the kids!
Teachers at schools in the Superior Greenstone District picketed in shifts throughout several communities. Cheyenne Bartlett teaches at George O'Neill Public School in Nipigon. She says she is fighting for students. Top of her concerns is class sizes and having proper resources for special education.
I'm anxious to get back to my class, to get back to my students and have things go the way they should be right now. You know, the education system's here for a reason, and we need to get back to work.
ETFO members in the Lakehead, Keewatin, Patricia, and Rainy River school boards took to the picket lines Wednesday, and on Thursday, members across the province, including Superior Greenstone, held another one-day strike. A warning about a SIM card scam circulating in the Rainy River district. OPP are reporting several residents have fallen victim to a scam which swaps SIM cards in smartphones to gain access to email, social media, and financial accounts. Once they have access, the fraudsters drain bank accounts, apply for credit using the victim's name, and attempt to defraud the contacts list associated to the victim. Police advise if phone service is lost on the device to contact your service provider. The Thunder Bay District Jail is notoriously overcrowded and understaffed. That's been well documented. However, there's an additional challenge that corrections officers have had to grapple with as well as of late, finding suitable space for the growing number of Toronto gang members housed inside the facility, many of whom have to be kept away from the locals. Ryan Benazzo reports.
Space inside the near-century-old Thunder Bay Jail is already at a premium. There are approximately 170 inmates currently inside, about 25 over max capacity. And that number will likely rise over the weekend, as it typically does. And employees now have to be more careful than ever before when deciding where to put them all.
The stressors are very high.
According to acting local union president Bill Hayes, that's because of the influx of Toronto gang members. There's an estimated 40 to 50 inside now, but that number was recently as high as 60. And they're fighting with the locals inside over the Thunder Bay drug trade.
It's just a constant battle of finding the proper location. We can put some of them together, but some of them we have to spread out in other places or in segregation because there's a threat of violence.
Management is trying to work with the justice system to ensure inmates facing lengthy legal battles appear in court less frequently, so they're able to be transferred to facilities in other parts of the province.
A new, modern correctional complex.
This as there's growing unease about the status of the new jail that the government announced last April.
We're going through the procurement process now, and we'll do the RFP in the fall.
That was then Ontario Infrastructure Minister Monty McNaughton nearly 10 months ago. But now the timeline for requests for proposal is TBD.
Everybody's skeptical because the delays and the rumors floating about. As far as I've heard, everything's still a go. There's been no official word, though, from the PC government, which we'd appreciate it if somebody would step out and give us a statement in regards to this.
Hayes is hoping that comes next week, when the Deputy Solicitor General is tentatively scheduled to visit the jail. Ryan Benazzo, TBT News.
Atikokan fire officials are continuing to investigate a major fire in their community this week. The Voyageur Bait and Tackle Shop went up in flames early Tuesday morning. The building was completely destroyed. However, Fire Chief Graham Warburton says his crews did a good job making sure the fire didn't spread to the gasoline tank and pumps on the property. The store had been located on Highway 11B leading into Atikokan for decades and was very popular with outdoor adventurers. It was one of only 2 stores in town that offered gasoline. Warburton says they're still looking into the cause. When we come back, the sentencing of a man who pled guilty to a 2018 murder in Marathon. A Marathon man will be eligible for parole in 17 years after he was given a life sentence last month for murdering his wife 2 years ago. In April of 2018, Alain Lepage shot his wife, 61-year-old Anne Rainville, twice with a shotgun. According to the agreed statement of facts, officers with the Marathon OPP responded to a Michano drive home to assist paramedics shortly after 8:30 p.m. on April 5th. Lepage had planned to turn the weapon on himself, but then left the home and went to a local bar before returning and contacting 911. Police learned Lepage reported he shot his wife. He then exited the residence with his hands up and told police, "I killed her, she's dead. My wife Anne, I shot her twice." Attempts to revive Rainville were unsuccessful and she was pronounced dead at the scene. Lepage, now 64 years old, was held in custody for 653 days prior to sentencing. He's facing a lifetime weapons ban and a no-contact order. He will have to submit a DNA sample and will be eligible for parole in 2037. The future of Terrace Bay's golf course hangs in the balance, and the key to its survival lies with Town Council. For years, the course, run by volunteers, has posted deficit after deficit, and without help from the municipality, could be shut down. Adam Riley has the details.
Council in Terrace Bay is once again facing a big ask from the group that runs the Aguasabun Golf Course, $40,000 to assist with operational costs. And as President Bobby Spadoni explains, if there is no intervention, the consequences will be dire.
Without any financial assistance from the township, we will not be able to operate the Aguasabun Golf Club.
For the past several years, the club, which is run entirely on a volunteer basis, has been operating in the red and has received money from the town since 2017 for both operational and capital costs to the sum of $90,000. Spadoni says profits earned through events and course usage each year pays for the previous year, and if council grants their request, it will effectively allow the organization to reset itself.
We're not really getting a true snapshot of how that actually year went because, even now, any money we're bringing in now, we're offsetting to pay what was last year. So our goal would be kind of wipe the slate clean, get ourselves going hopefully with this, and I believe get a real true understanding of what our years are like.
Fortunately, the ask couldn't come at a better time as the town is about to embark upon its 2020 budget. Acting Mayor Mike Moore says he was impressed by the homework done by the club and the initiatives it has undertaken, such as increasing the membership fees to offset costs, which will help make council make a decision on the matter.
If and where possible, we're certainly going to look at supporting them as best we can. And again, not committing at this point in time without seeing other budget requests that the $40,000 be brought forward to them, but we will certainly give their request serious consideration.
Council also received a presentation from its treasurer, Stan Spadoni, requesting a 2% increase in water rates for 2020, which council later authorized. For the past 5 years, residents had faced increases of 4.5% year over year on residential water rates. Moore says those increases go towards the town's water and sewer reserve funds for future projects.
We are mandated to keep our infrastructure up to date, and there's not a lot of government money out there for these programs, and what is out there, we need to have corresponding dollars. So this is what we're doing, is trying to build our reserves up so that we've got the money in place when the province says, here's our share, where's your share, we're ready to go.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
Water levels in the Great Lakes are rising, and that's putting homes and businesses at risk.
Last year was an all-time high record, and we're expected to be 3 inches above that.
The region is experiencing its wettest period in more than a century. Scientists say rising water levels are likely connected to the warming climate. That's bad news for owners of lakefront property. Erosion and flooding have caused millions of dollars of damage and threatens to destroy some houses completely. Forecasters expect the lakes to remain above normal well into 2020. There are reports blue-green algae was found in a bay east of Thunder Bay last fall in what's believed to be the first documented case of the algae on the Canadian side of Lake Superior. It showed up on several inland lakes in the Thunder Bay region last summer, prompting public advisories from the Thunder Bay District Health Unit. The discovery on Lake Superior was made by a boater on September 19th and 20th, about 35 kilometers east of the city. A lab test confirmed it was blue-green algae. The substance was first observed in a small bay, but it continued into the open waters to a couple miles from shore. According to the report, the algae caused a surface scum that covered the entire inshore area of the bay to approximately 50 meters from shore. However, by the morning of September 21st, clear water had returned. Samuel Pegg of Lakehead University says there has never been a documented finding of blue-green algae in Canadian waters. Pegg says with the possibility of climate change, there may be additional blooms in the future in inland lakes and the larger lake as well. Coming up after the break, Scriber looks for a new councillor after one of its members resigns. Town Council in Scriber is on the hunt for a new member after the resignation of Councillor Kim Krause last week. Krause was elected in 2018 and served on several boards, including the Fire Department, the Youth Committee, and the Library Board. As Mayor Dave Hamilton explains, a special opportunity arose for Krause, who has a background in digital media production, after a successful funding application.
We received a grant for our public library to start up a media center, and Mr. Krause has decided that is the path he would like to follow. But because it's still associated with the town, there would have been a conflict of interest. So he resigned as councillor to resume his new position with the public library.
Hamilton says he's reached out to the next in line, former councillor David Morrow, and asked if he'd come back to council, and he has agreed. Morrow served with Hamilton during the previous council, which Hamilton says brings more experience to the council chambers. Greenstone Gold's proposed open pit mine has several buildings in its footprint, including the Geraldton Information Center, which will be torn down should the mine be approved. The building hosts a variety of exhibits and artifacts from the municipality, including a 1/5 scale model of a 415 water bomber. In an effort to preserve the model and give back to the Ministry of Natural Resources, Council approved a motion to give it to the ministry should the mine get the go-ahead. Deputy Mayor James McPherson says the ministry has had a close relationship with the municipality.
The Ministry of Natural Resources and Forests was a major funder and had been a major component of Greenstone, that we would give to them the replica so they can display it in their new fire base that they're building over in Dryden.
McPherson says part of the deal will have the ministry cover the cost of transporting the model to the new base, which is scheduled to be completed next year. There has been no discussion on the future of the other exhibits, but McPherson stresses everything, including the 415 model, is dependent upon the mine moving forward. Synergy North is reviving an energy-saving initiative which can help customers save some money on their power bill while also being beneficial to your vehicle. The utility has announced the relaunch of its block heater timer program. The program offers free block heater timers to Synergy North customers. You can pick one up simply by calling the company or through email. The company has 750 timers available to their clientele, which Energy Service Advisor Jake Allen says is beneficial.
So we're always thinking of ways that we can help our customers. This is a tool that we believe that will be a successful tool in our climate, specifically to us. Gives the customer the opportunity to save on their power bill, right? It also is good for the car itself.
Allen says that this can reduce energy consumption and save program participants up to $25 a year on their winter electricity bills. Confederation College IT staff is busy trying to figure out what went wrong after a possible attack on web services over the weekend. At this point, it's unclear if the incident to their malware on Saturday morning was caused by a virus, cyber attack, or a separate factor. With the Confederation College email system unavailable, the college turned to social media to inform the thousands affected. As of today, most essential features were restored, including Wi-Fi, Microsoft Office, and the main hub for all program materials. College officials insist that students' confidential information was not compromised, and they've installed additional protective software while they try to get to the source of the problem.
We don't know how this has happened as of yet, but we will be conducting a forensic investigation with our cybersecurity expert. That'll take a number of weeks to do, but no doubt it will identify the root cause of why this occurred.
Zubak says they should have their internal email up and running soon. The college is also offering deadline extensions to students who were impacted by the lack of online services. St. Joseph's Care Group has once again rolled out details of the latest in healthcare research in the Northwest. The Health Research Showcase is an annual event that places the spotlight on innovations in a broad range of health-related areas. Avery McCrae has the details.
For the past 15 years, St. Joseph's Care Group has hosted what has become the premier event for sharing research relevant to health of northwestern Ontario. The showcase featured 9 oral and 40 poster presentations by health professionals, students, and scientists. The conference helped build networks for workers across the province to help ask and answer questions to improve the health care provided. The scientific director of St. Joseph's Care Group, Michelle Bedard, says it has a diverse group of people discussing new ideas.
Practitioners, frontline people, we have lots of administrators. So we really have the whole gamut of people for whom this is important and for whom getting together at least once a year on a strong basis is actually very important and valuable.
Even though, the world is more connected than ever before, a lot of partnership and collaboration is best done in person. So to have other people around with the same interest in health research in particular, being able to to meet them, talk to them, and learn about what research is being done locally, it just gives you further opportunity for close collaboration so that more research can come out of Thunder Bay.
One area that has grown since inauguration of the showcase is partnerships with Lakehead University. Students are given the opportunity to present their ideas to healthcare professionals, which has had a positive impact on health research.
The level of involvement between the St. Joseph's Care Group and, say, Lakehead University and NOSM actually has increased dramatically over the years. So we have more and more learners who come and do research project, and it's also translated to evaluation project as well. So there's a really evaluation component, and the ability of St. Joseph's Care Group to really use evidence-based practices and best practices has evolved a lot.
Bedard added that the research discussed at the conference was not just about disease and broken bones, but the social deterrence on mental health as well. He says society has a role to play in all of this, and it's important to continue to research all aspects of health to provide the best quality of life for people living in the Northwest. Avery McCrae, TBT News.
That's all for this edition of Northwest Newsweek. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.